ERP market is full of noise, and there are certain practices that might come across as having good intent, but they hurt more than they help. So, which are the top 10 practices hurting the ERP industry in 2023? That's what we are going to talk in this video. So, let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta. I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with ERP selection, digital transformation strategy, ERP implementation. So, now let's review the list. Number 10 on our list is the marketing hype. So, what is the current state for the marketing hype? So, you have the functional checklist, consumption based business model, bill of right, and fake cloud. So, these are some of the things that are part of that marketing hype bucket. So, what are the implications of these things? Number one, the functional checklist is going to be, it creates a lot more confusion just because you are doing the selection based on your functional checklist. Sometimes these are promoted by the OEMs themselves, and it confuses more than they help. Now, the consumption based business model, and sometimes the OEMs are going to position that, you know what, we have the consumption based business model, and the way it is positioned in the market is that the consumption based business model is really good. That's how it is positioned in the market. But if you look at the layers of the consumption based business model, if you analyze, some industries can benefit based on the consumption based business model, but it might not be as beneficial for others. The other industry implications that you have are going to be around bill of rights. Bill of rights, for the most part, it might not add as much value, but the way it is positioned is that it's really a marketing tool for the companies to present themselves in the good light, but as such, it does not add much value. The other issues that we have, overly selling cloud when some solutions might not be cloud. So that is another issue that we have in the industry at this point. So what is needed? Educate customers on the data model as well as efforts required in building industry functionality. And when you are doing the selection based on your checklist, you are coaching the wrong things. What you should be coaching, as well as the customers should be paying attention to, is that ERP, regardless of whether you are doing cloud, on prem, the efforts are going to be fairly similar. Just because you are going for cloud, it does not mean that the architecture is not going to be important. So, coach users on the pros and cons of the data analysis, the data transformation, process transformation, as well as coach users on the pros and cons of the consumption based business model. Rather than bill of rights, introduce bill of how to be successful with ERP. So that's number 10. Now, number 9 practice that is really hurting the ERP industry is APIs or low code, no code. If you talk to any of the ERP salesperson and if you ask them, okay, how do we integrate these two systems? Their answer is always going to be APIs. APIs by themselves don't really integrate anything. You still need the architectural strategy to design. You still need to design your workflows for the APIs to be efficient. The other hype that we have in the market is low code and no code. And low code and no code, if you have bad requirements and if you are going to simply give it to your business teams, that's not going to solve anything. If you have issues, then you need to capture the requirements with the right specificity that can be coded, and coding is typically the easiest part in general. So here, if you are going to give them the code or ability to code, it's not going to help, because the issues are typically going to be from the design perspective, from the architecture perspective, in capturing the requirements that are going to be technically and financially feasible. That's where the issues are. So current state, overselling of low code, no code, and APIs, overselling of giving control to citizen developers, overemphasizing the importance of code, undermining the importance of good requirements, design, and test cases. The industry implications that we have at this point of time is increased technical backlogs because of the overemphasis on APIs, and you have not analyzed the architecture. So the backlog is increasing, your effort is going to increase. And sometimes, even if you implement the best technology in the market, your operational effort might be more. So even though you have spent in the newer technologies, but you might not get much benefit. In fact, your admin efforts might increase. Lost confidence with digital transformation. And because of these issues, because of the perception of APIs, that integration is going to be easy, and the businesses don't really get any sort of business value from these transformation initiatives. So they are losing confidence at this point of time. Increased failure rate as well as misleading conclusions. So what's needed? Coach business users on system thinking, then low code and no code. Coach on how to work with technical teams, then trying to do everything yourself. Coach on how to create specs that tech teams can consume. So these are some of the things that the industry need at this point of time to be able to solve these issues, then selling the hype about APIs as well as low code or no code. So that's number 9. Now, the number 8 practice that is hurting the ERP industry at this point of time is the delayed involvement of implementation teams. Typically, during the sales phase, implementation teams are not going to be involved just because the OEMs are really trying to position the sale and they might have issues during the sales cycle. So typically, they are not going to include any of the implementation teams. But in general, when you don't involve them, and sometimes they are going to claim that you have pre-sales people, but even pre-sales people may not have much of the implementation experience. They might know certain issues from the implementation perspective, but generally they don't have as much implementation experience. So the current state that we have for this is implementation teams only involved after the damage is already done. And even if they might be most competent people, they might not be able to do much just because you have made all the decisions and there might not be much of a room for them to be able to fix it. And the other issue that we have right now is the selection teams with very little implementation experience. The industry implications: selection consultants not trusted, gap between the implementation and the sales teams, implementation teams blamed for something they cannot control. So what's needed right now in the industry? Involve implementation teams during the selection phase. Hire selection consultants responsible for implementation as well. Don't sign the contract without interviewing the resources accountable for implementation. So that's number 8. Now, number 7 on our list is overselling of frameworks and technical certification. So what is the current state about this particular practice? That is, the frameworks and certifications are used as a shield for the implementation success. And when you are going to deal with any of the OEMs, resellers, they all claim that they are certified on a specific product. Yes, the certifications matter, but that is not the only thing that is going to matter. Typically, it's going to be the experience, which is going to be far more meaningful for the success of your implementation. Also, the way these certifications are designed, they have very technical boilerplate. The OEMs as well as the software companies are trying to coach on their best practices. Now, these best practices may not be best for every single company out there, so you might run into issues. The certifications are too biased to the product than to the customer success. The industry implications that we have is ERP successful, but with very little tangible business results. Misunderstanding and miscommunication of success. So what's needed? Design certifications around customer success. Downplay the importance of certifications over tangible experience. So that's number 7. Now, number 6 on our list is architectural immaturity. Current state. So right now we have APIs used as a shield for a good architecture. The importance of architecture downplayed with the shield of cloud. The misunderstanding of data stores and reconciliation workflows in the architecture in general. Now, the industry implications that we have because of this practice is significant communication issues with systems, system adoption issues, and data cleansing issues. So what's needed? Have well-defined architecture even for cloud systems. Just because you are buying cloud, it does not mean that it is going to be plug and play. So make sure you are investing effort in design and architecture. Involve technical teams with architectural experience during selection. Don't evaluate or implement business systems in isolation. So that's number 6. Number 5 practice that is hurting the ERP industry at this point of time is lack of emphasis on change management. What is the current state right now? So that is going to be change management not meaningful without ERP subject matter expertise. There are a lot of different change management consultants, and they all are going to claim how much change management is important. But unless you have the ERP subject matter expertise, the change management might not add much value. Too much emphasis on users who might not understand the implications of the architectural decisions. And yes, in the ERP community, if you're going to talk to anybody, they all are going to say involve users from day one. Yes, the involvement of users is important, but depending upon the skill set of the users, how qualified they are in terms of making these architectural decisions. Yes, you need to involve them because obviously they are the ones who are going to decide whether they are going to use the system or not. But sometimes, depending upon the skill set, sometimes the prescriptive approach might be far better. User experience is not communicated and caused in the right context. Sometimes the user experience is overemphasized. Sometimes people don't really understand what user experience is supposed to mean, and user experience is always in the context of a user. If you are going to have power user, their requirements are going to be far different. Now the industry implications: the system selection bias to pretty looking systems and leaner interfaces, increasing admin overhead for the backend. Uninformed users make poor decisions because of the perceived bias towards user experience. Lack of training for users on the system design to appreciate the user experience of different systems. So, what's needed? Train users on the importance of complex interfaces. Downplay the importance of user experience with system selection. So, that's number 5. Now, number 4 on our list is overemphasis on cloud and SaaS technologies. What is the current state? The cloud is a solution to all problems. That's the perception that a lot of people have. New problem, just throw a new SaaS, and this is creating another problem where companies may have hundreds of systems, but they are not necessarily getting any sort of business value. Whenever they are going to have any problem, they are simply looking for another solution. So they are in that mode where they are doing a lot of trial and error, but they are not getting much of the business value. Architecture, business systems, and master data governance teams not involved before buying SaaS. That's the current state. Now, the industry implications: too much licensing fee, very little business results, lost confidence with digital transformation initiatives, failed business transformation initiatives. These are some of the industry implications. So, what's needed? Downplay the importance of SaaS, measure architectural and master data implications before introducing any SaaS, invest more in the strategy and evaluation than being biased towards software. So, that's number 4. Now, number 3 practice that is hurting the ERP industry at this point of time is going to be no consensus on the definition of ERP. The current state: every business has a new definition of the ERP. In general, ERP could mean a lot of different things in different industries. So there is no consensus, and that is hurting the ERP industry at this point of time. Misunderstanding of the importance of ERP, the underlying architecture of add-ons not evaluated. The industry implications that you are going to have because of this issue is going to be ERP systems misrepresented and misquoted. Biased system selection leads to digital transformation failure. Now, what's needed? Define the role of ERP in the architecture. Communicate the value of ERP, why that's needed in the company. Define interaction flows of ERP with the other systems. So that's number 3. Now, number 2 on our list is shiny object syndrome. The current state for this particular issue is new technology must solve all business problems, bias to newer technologies, technology-centric system selection decisions. The industry implication: rat race towards technology, increased spend on technology with minimum results. So what's needed? Don't run after newer technology. Articulate business problems first and then find technologies that can fill the gap. So that's number 2. Now, number 1 on our list is the faster implementation times. And this is one of the biggest issue that the industry is facing at this point of time. Most of the OEMs are pushing for the faster implementation time just to justify their cost of licenses, but that is hurting the industry. So what is the current state right now? Faster implementation times sold at the expense of adoption. Enterprise software OEMs trying to justify the license cost with faster implementation times. Rat race of faster implementation times. Industry implications: increased number of ERP failure, poor system adoption, cloud technologies oversold at the expense of poor master data governance and adoption. So, what's needed? Downplay the importance of faster implementation. Coach why companies must dedicate sufficient time for ERP implementation and change management. Undersell the importance of framework centric packages. So that's it for this list. If you enjoyed this video, we are going to include the link of the detailed article with the description. So make sure you check that out. Also, if you enjoy this video, we publish them on a weekly basis. So hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Also, if you enjoy the audio form a lot more, then you can check this podcast on Google, Spotify, as well as Apple. And if you have not checked our digital transformation report, we are going to include the link. So check that out. On that note, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.